All right. The Bogre, Into the Mist. This is what I'm talking about right now. This is the Comic Book Connection, and this is a review of an independent comic book that I picked up. I think it's pretty cool. The reason I'm going over this too is not just to show Mitch Rogers' artwork, but to also, well, he's actually the illustrator of and the writer. But yeah, but also because this is a really cool example of like an independent comic book, basically. You know, it gets the point across. You know, the guy's probably got no budget, and he's trying to do something on his own. You know what I mean? And he's trying, and it's not like super fancy. Daredevil or something like that. You know what I mean? But it gets the point across. I think his art is actually pretty good. His storytelling is very good. I don't know, as far as like something that could be monthly, I suppose, if you did it right and the art was really cool, you could probably get people to follow the comic. I don't know if it's like a bunch of mini stories. Here, I'm actually going to show his website because see, this guy's a good example of somebody who's he's just out there doing it. He's not waiting. He's not waiting for, he's not like the world's best artist, but he's got a dream and he's not waiting for, Marvel or DC to pick him up. Let me see here. So here he is, Celtic Cross Studios, home of underground comic creator Mitch Rogers. This must be new. I thought I would look him up. Mitch Rogers. He was born in 1986, Greenville, South Carolina. He spent his childhood reading ghost stories, drawing monsters, so he's somewhat of a fan of horror, if you want to go check out his website. And starts out here, let me see. Taken from Battlefields, the memoirs of Colonel George Tolman. And so it's written from the perspective of a colonel. And says, there are many stories I have from the war. Most of them are horrific, but not all of them are explainable. I lost many men, but only one death still haunts me. It was completely inexplicable, and it didn't happen on a battlefield. It was around mid-February of 1945, right after the Battle of the Bulge, and you can see the colonel here. It's like snowing. This is very good. He's got an opening. Look at this very simple estat opening. I guess it's called the establishment shot or whatever. Just snow. No, nothing else. Just snow and a white background. Snowflakes. And here he is. I think he's actually a pretty good artist. You know what I mean? He's definitely getting the point across. It's simple. He probably doesn't have a lot of time. Doesn't have a lot of money. I think this is a good model for a beginner artist that wants to break out on his own and doesn't want to perpetuate the garbage that the bigger companies are putting out. Not that I have anything against them, because some stuff is still good, I see. And anyway, I was over a small unit stationed in northern Germany near Hamburg. I was in my mid-40s at the time, and the print's kind of small here. Sorry, and my eyes are getting bad. I was in my mid-40s at the time, and most of the soldiers under my command were less than half my age. Basically, they were still boys. We were deep within Nazi-occupied territory, and we had already lost a significant number of men to the Germans A sneak attack at night was inevitable. Each night I selected 2 guards to watch over the camp while the rest of us slept. I did all I could to ensure that every soldier was on high alert. That day, one young man seemed very nervous and afraid. The threat of death at any moment made most of them uneasy, but this one was obviously very shaken. He was Private Edward Griffin from Oklahoma. He was scheduled on guard that night, and I wanted him to be on his best alert, and his current condition was worrying me and the others. Yeah, no doubt you got a really scared soldier. You got basically a terrified soldier watching your back. That's not a good thing. And I took Private Griffin aside before nightfall to find out what was bothering him and hopefully ease his burden. After some convincing, I was able to break him. This is horrible. What happened to this kid? He explained that when he was a child, he and the boys he ran with had set fire to a small forest on the outskirts of town. Unbeknownst to them, an elderly couple who resided in a cabin in the woods perished. A juvenile act of vandalism resulted in manslaughter. Griffin then made light of a series of horrible nightmares he experienced involving a red-eyed monster, and he believed them to be connected. It's pretty cool. There's the burning cabin. So, and if you want to get this, I don't want to read the entire thing, but, there's more to it. And it's just a really cool thing. And check it out. It's funny because before I even saw this, I had an issue of my own that I did. This was my original. This is my original. So you can see, it's comparable. You know what I mean? Mine's black and white. He's got a color cover, cardstock cover. It's about the same thickness. So this guy was already kind of thinking along the lines of me. I have no back art. At least he's got that on the back. And it's probably some voodoo sign or something like that. Some voodoo guy that controls this monster. I don't know the exact storyline. I'd have to order. You can order more from this guy if you want to support him. I think it's cool. This is Nut Job. I've changed the logo and everything. I've already talked about that. If you want to go see my other character, I've updated it. But here's my comic book. And mine's a little more detailed. This is kind of my own little style evolving here. This is when I really kind of started to get the hang of what I'm doing. There's an old saying that goes, when people lose everything and have nothing left to lose, they lose it. I am one of those. This is Nut Job narrating it. I am one of those who has nothing to lose. The world is on the brink of war. I was gonna write World War III is in the making. I was gonna change that. And every town in this country is rotten and corrupt. Even the police are corrupt and act like the Constitution is a joke. Yeah, sure, there's some good cops. It doesn't matter if the system itself is broken. The cost of living keeps rising and the pay is the same. Good jobs are scarce. People can barely afford to buy food. I decided it was time something got done about it. So I made a plan. I had no idea things were as bad as they were. So he's kind of going back to when he becomes a fugitive, like a political fugitive, basically. There's him in line. He's in line behind this corrupt police officer. Who can blame him for being afraid of the police, basically? Who can blame them? The government and the police are very scary. So as the world descends into complete and total chaos, I'm starting a little war of my own. And then he takes a shot at the corrupt cop and hits him in the back of the head. The cop's coffee goes flying into the air. His hat goes flying off. I'm going to change all this around, though. So it's going to be completely different. Like, actually, I'm reworking this page right now. Because I don't like, I was having trouble with the clothing and stuff. So here's my new, someone's probably here. Here's my old one. Still pretty good though, just for a rough draft. I'm going to have to cut this short. I have company. But I'll be back on later for drink and draw. I'm just getting prepared. I'm going to have a nice cold beer and draw.